Germany, Spain, Japan beat both, and still nobody believes they can go all the way. But heading into 2026, this might be the most dangerous version of Japan we've ever seen, because for the first time, they're not just competing with football's giants, they're consistently beating them. And before recently, that was exactly what Japan has been missing. So what changed, and how far can this team actually go? But first, let's set the scene. Japan is an island nation with a culture where honor and respect are dominant values, with a history of shoguns and samurais, but currently more known for technology, cuisine, automobiles, and punctuality. Football hasn't always been one of Japan's biggest sports. For years, baseball dominated the country, but everything started to change in 1998 when Japan qualified for their first ever World Cup. Since then, they've qualified for every single tournament, building a reputation as one of the most exciting and unpredictable teams in international football. From iconic fan culture to unforgettable upsets, Japan became a team everyone loved to watch. But despite all that, they've never fully broken through. The knockout stages have always been their ceiling. Even in 2002, hosting on home soil, they couldn't take that next step. But that tournament changed something, because ever since, Japan haven't just improved, they've been building towards something bigger. 2018 is where Japan started building the dangerous team that they have today, and it makes sense as this is when they appointed Hajime Moriyasu, Japan's current manager. He was appointed right after the 2018 World Cup, but had been serving as the assistant manager already then. He has the most games as the manager for Japan, and by far the best win percent, boasting an almost 70% win rate. In 2018, Japan became the first Asian team to beat a South American team in a World Cup with a 2-1 victory over Colombia, and ended up being eliminated in a memorable game against Belgium in the round of 16 3-2. We got a taste of Japan's new movement there, and this is where Hajime Moriyasu started building. In the 2019 AFC Cup, Japan won 6 games in a row before losing in the final to Qatar, starting to show the consistency that is so important in big tournaments. In 2022, Japan was drawn into the group of death in the World Cup, drawing Germany and Spain in their group. How did they respond? They beat both of them and topped the group, shocking the world. Japan's fans also became a huge inspiration for the world, as after their games, they would stay at the stadium and clean up garbage before they left. Expectations were big for Japan after their performance in the group, and the next test was the round of 16, the stage they've never been able to pass. Japan were matched up against Croatia, one of the best teams in the World Cup recently, and managed to take it to penalties against arguably the most experienced cup penalty side, and unsurprisingly at that point, lost. It was crushing, but if we take a look at this performance, Japan managed to beat Spain, Germany, and tie Croatia. Absolutely stellar performance that hints that there is no limit for Moriyasu's Japan. Here's a stat that should knock your socks off. Since that loss against Croatia in 2022, Japan has only lost 3 games. Giant killers tend not to be this consistent. It's time to stop sleeping on Japan. So what awaits Japan in the 2026 World Cup? Japan has qualified as a Pot 2 team, an upgrade from their previous Pot 3 placement, which in theory should give them an easier group. Japan is drawn into Group F and is joined by Netherlands, Sweden, and Tunisia. The group favorites are Netherlands, but realistically, taking both countries' recent performances into account, this could really be a toss-up between first and second place. However, the group is filled by 2 real wildcards, and this group feels like it has a tendency for high scorelines and open football. Sweden are a team that's very difficult to assess right now because they qualified for this tournament without winning a single game in qualifying. Tell me in the comments, but I don't think there's a single team that have ever done that before. But since then, they went through the playoff route with a new manager and have shown some pretty impressive football overall. Tunisia has consistently been a solid football team and right now. If Japan do progress as expected, Group F's winner and runner-up will be facing Group C's winner and runner-up. First meets second. It's not so clear whether Morocco or Brazil will top Group C to me, but Japan will be meeting one of the two most likely. It's strange to say, but I think that Japan has better chances against Brazil than Morocco. Japan likes to play open football against attacking teams. Morocco is a defensively hardened core that will be difficult for Japan, but Brazil is perfect opposition for Japan, and they proved this not so long ago when they beat Brazil in a recent friendly. In the next stage, Japan would meet a side of similar power to them, and on their day, and with the consistency they've been showing recently, they can pass here. In the quarterfinal, depending on the route, Japan is likely to face one of England or France, and this is where Japan's giant killer status will be tested. Without speculating too much, the point is that Japan is one of the rare teams that likes to play against quality attacking opposition, so a France or England could be a more desired matchup than, for example, a Morocco. And speaking of, what is the Japanese system? What exactly has Moriyasu built over the years, and why does it work so well in tournament football? Because this Japan team isn't built like a traditional powerhouse. They don't try to dominate possession, they don't rely on individual superstars, instead they rely on structure, discipline, and moments. Japan most commonly lines up with 4-2-3-1 formation, although they do rotate a lot, but what makes them dangerous is how flexible this sort of shape becomes during a game. Out of possession, they drop into a compact mid-block, with two holding midfielders protecting the back line, closing space between the lines and forcing opponents wide, and that's where they win the ball back. Japan are one of the fastest transitioning teams in international football. They don't hold on to the ball, they move it forward immediately, using quick passing combinations and pace out wide. They turn defense into attack in seconds, and this is exactly how they beat teams like Germany or Spain. Not by controlling the game, but by controlling the moments that matter. Another key part to this system is their intensity. Japan presses in bursts, not constantly, but when they choose to press, they do it as a unit. It's controlled aggression, not reckless pressing. At the core of the system is a group of players who fit perfectly. Wataru Endo is a defensive anchor, breaking up play and keeping the team balanced. Takesuba Kubo, creativity and unpredictability in the final third. Kaoru Mitoma, one of the most dangerous dribblers in the world, especially in transition. And Ritsu Duan creates clutch moments and is proven in big games. And importantly, this isn't just a talented squad, it's a squad built for a system. Because in knockout football, you don't need to control every game, you just need to stay organized, disciplined, and take your chances when they come. And Japan does that better than most teams outside the traditional elite. So what you're looking at is not just a team that can upset giants, but a team that is consistently putting itself in positions to beat them, and that's what makes Japan so dangerous in 2026. The most recent games that Japan have played leading up to the World Cup are 2 victories against England and Scotland, incredibly impressive, and in the window before that they beat Bolivia and Ghana. Hopefully now I've convinced you that Japan should make it further than you've put them in your fantasy brackets, and perhaps are the most unique team in the World Cup when it comes to their capabilities, and they can do so even with rotation as they're one of the sides in the World Cup with the most depth as well, more reliant on their system and unity rather than star players. Although Japan used to be more famous for sumo wrestlers and karate kids than footballers, and most people in the West don't know what their football team even does between the ears, come World Cup time, Japan is and will be a force to be reckoned with. Japan might not be the favorites, they might not have the biggest stars, but they have something just as dangerous. A system that works, a team that believes, and a track record of beating anyone on their day. So don't be surprised if Japan aren't just shocking the world in 2026, but finally breaking through. But now, I want to hear from you. How far do you think Japan will go in 2026? Let me know.